Hi folks. So we've gotten some questions about my outfits, my clothing. Now when I do my programs, when I'm shooting videos in the camera, you've often seen I'm pretty dressed up. I don't just wear the buckskin clothing for a program or in front of the camera. I actually make my own clothing, I tan my own hides, and I dress in those clothes pretty much all the time. You know, if I'm going to some formal event or something, of course I'll wear something a little more modern and try to fit in, but the typical day-to-day, I'm dressing as the mammoth hunter, as a Stone Age hunter-gatherer. By doing that, it's allowed me to learn quite a lot about how the clothing goes together, how it works, and what it can and, well, what it can't do. Today we're going to take a look at several of my pieces of clothing here with some explanation, and we're going to talk about, well, how well it works. So first up, we have my jacket and the sort of matched belt. Now the belt is very interesting. The belt is designed or modeled after the belt found with Ötzi, the Iceman, in the Ötztal Alps. In the center here, there's a pouch, and you know, I can use that to carry the same stuff he carried, little stone tools and a retoucher. Now that belt is several years old. I don't use it quite so much anymore. I've kind of replaced it, but it works great. Now the jacket, of course, is not a fur jacket, but it's inspired by reproductions of Ötzi's jacket. This is more of almost a tied up buckskin tunic than a true coat, but I use it like a coat. It works very well. You can see I've decorated the sleeves with a little bit of charcoal paint and a little bit of pigment, and down on the bottoms, right over here, you can see I've decorated it with perforated tabs meant to look like leaves, and there's a couple up on the sides as well, forgive my shadow, that have curled a little bit but have been dipped and stained in red ochre, and that was inspired by a Native American shirt that I replicated. Now down here I've got my typical sort of program shirt. I wear this quite a bit, but I usually wear it for the programs. I've painted it with a red ochre and black walnut dyed woolly mammoth. And the stripes along the bottom here are black walnut as well. The color across the top, here we go, is black walnut. And it's just a straight buckskin sort of sleeveless shirt. I don't have any reason to believe that prehistoric people wouldn't make something more or less like that, but the design for that is really my own. The mammoth is based on the, was it Rouffignac cave in France? My French is awful, so hopefully I didn't butcher that too badly, but it's the cave of the mammoths, I believe, and there's several woolly mammoths carved and painted on the cave walls there, and this is a close facsimile of one of them. In the back here, we've got a sort of a shawl or a half cape, half cloak. I use this as a mantle, or as a sort of extra layer with the jacket that you've seen already. The fur collar is pretty much just decorative. It's fur on the outside to cover up the seam for the hood. The cape itself is the haunch of a buffalo. It's the front here, this is the legs, the back of the legs of the buffalo, and it kind of wraps up and around. The fringe runs all the way along and is decorative, and all the way around it is paintings that start over here with the hunters going out. It's all the animals that they encounter, and then on this side over here we have a woolly mammoth, and when the cape is wrapped all around, you can see the Irish elk, woolly mammoth, horses, woolly rhinos, all kinds of animals from cave paintings. Now, a very important detail I'd like to point out with this It is about as close to a raincoat as you're going to see. Buckskin is a fat tanned or brain tanned leather. It's a suede. There is no waterproof in the Stone Age. If you are familiar with buckskin and wearing and using it at all, you'll know you can make it water resistant, but you can't make it completely waterproof without destroying it. It just it's kind of like canvas or linen clothes, or even wool clothes. It will keep you warm, it will keep you protected, it won't keep you dry. But that layer is really nice for trapping and holding extra heat in the autumn and the early winter. Now down here we've got my hat. It's lined with small bone beads. Beads are very slow and time consuming to make, so that is all of them. This was inspired by a was it Sangir burial, a burial site with something like 3,500 or 4,000 beads and red ochre and very intricate decorations on the fellow who was buried. The pattern for the hat itself is based on Ötzi's bearskin cap, so two different inspirations separated by 30,000 years, but they came together quite nicely there. Below the hat here we can see I've got a couple of headbands because the leather gets pretty warm in the summer. And next to that I've got one of the few pieces of what you might call cloth that you'll see in this. This is braided plant fiber. There's a mix of stuff in here. There's some hemp, there's some nettle, and there's some milkweed. It is a 16 ply braid, I believe. Made it a while ago. It's the buckle is an elk antler buckle, and I'll show you on the leather version that I made. It ties through. You kind of cinch it tight and tie it in a half hitch knot, which gives you a very widely adjustable belt. Here, one of my more regular garments, something I wear quite a bit, is my buckskin vest. The panels here on the front are original and pushing 15 years old now. If I flip this over, you'll see I've got a lot of newer material on there, and that's repairs that have happened over time as I've ripped out and damaged different pieces and had to repatch and repair different pieces of this vest. It does wear out over time. The amount of time and effort that it takes to tan a hide and turn that hide into clothing makes it worth repairing and maintaining your clothing. Here I've got some half gloves or fingerless gloves to use in cooler weather. To the back here we've got a couple of breech clouts, and the breech clout is basically a loincloth. This is the type that has a flat front and back, runs underneath, kind of works like a swimsuit where you've got an outer layer and an inner layer. And then you can see I've got a braided belt here, or a braided strap, ties around the waist. The one down here with the turtles actually has the ties built into it, so it's sort of a complete garment on its own. Both have spots to tie leggings to kind of complete them into like a pair of pants. This here is a poncho. It's open at the front and back. It's got actually a T-shaped collar up here. The back, or the crosswise cut, is 2 hand widths set like that, and then the center cut for the V-neck opening is just a thumbs up from that initial sideways cut. I used 2 different tones of leather, a couple different tones of leather smoked to different colors for this one, just because I like the look of it. It's heavily inspired by period paintings of Native Americans from the Great Plains and Rocky Mountains. It's actually a really nice, versatile garment, and even though it's buckskin and not fur or wool, it can even work as a blanket at night next to the fire if you need a light blanket in the summer. The belt that I've got on it here is actually moose hide, and I've incorporated one of the holes from the edge of the frame tanning as sort of the hole for the belt, and then it's got the ties that actually just pull through the loop, and then you do like a shoelace tie to tighten it. It's a couple inches wide. It's a very thick, heavy belt. It works really well as sort of an underlayer for tighter belts or for carrying things like your stone axe or heavier items. Here I've got just a couple examples of moccasins, and I'll do a complete video on moccasins in the future, as well as how to actually tan and sew hides into clothing. This is just a look at a couple of the styles that I use this time of year. The pair on the right, the puckered toe versions, are replicas of the promontory cave moccasins out of Utah, several thousand years old. They're actually an Arctic style technically, but they're out of Utah, so they're kind of a wide-ranging style, but they're a really nice pair of moccasins. I come down here on the subject of footwear. Again, same thing. We'll do a separate video on these. I got my sandals, and these are based on Anasazi styles, but I don't have the right kind of plants that they were weaving them out of around here, so I've made mine out of leather. They're a really nice pair of sandals, really versatile. During the winter, oftentimes I'll be wearing my elkskin pants, and you've seen me wearing these. These are a pair of pants I made some time ago. They're a modern pattern. This is before I was really doing much with drafting and trying to replicate specific patterns from historic or early historic or even prehistoric clothing. They do fit pretty well, but as I said, they're basically a modified blue jeans pattern. To the back above them here, I've got my buckskin shirt. This shirt is based off of a Native American shirt that's the photos I was able to find of it have it dated to the 1790s. I've never seen the original myself, but I did a pretty decent job of replicating it. Mine's a little bit, the measurements are a little bit different here and there, but that's just a process of working with buckskin, with organic material. It's a very nice shirt. It's believed to be Eastern Sioux, if I remember right. But it's actually from more or less this area. So I'm really fond of this in cold weather in the fall, particularly when out bow hunting and spearfishing when the weather gets cold. It's a very nice shirt. As you can see, very heavily fringed, and actually the light color, the heavy fringe, and the leaf tabs like on the jacket give it a great deal of camouflage, especially in sort of that transition between summer and fall where the grass and the leaves start to change a little bit. You become almost invisible in this shirt when you're out in the grass. It's a really nice hunting shirt. Next to it here, we've got a couple pairs of leggings. This is a little bit more of a Plains Native American style, and this is a little more Eastern style. Both have their upsides and downsides. In both cases here, I haven't sewn these with sinew. They're actually tied together. We get in close here on this one, you can see pretty well. Each piece of fringe is spliced or knotted through the holes on the seam of the leggings. So the fringe is itself the stitching for the leggings. On this one, I've done the same thing, but much less tight. And I've left a little flap here. What that means is that there's space. There's essentially a hole between each one of these stitches. And what that allows for these, this pair, is it makes them much cooler, much more breathable in the summer. It gives me protection on my lower legs up to above the knee from things like sawgrass and biting insects. The braided strips across the center are actually garters. They wrap twice around the leg just under the knee to help secure the legging and create an extra barrier for things like ticks. One feature that's very, very nice about the buckskin clothing, and you can see I've got and wear quite a bit of it here, it is borderline bug repellent. Now, my working theory is that when something like a tick or a mosquito lands on it or touches it, they smell the smoke and they smell the deer skin, but it's dead and it's smoky, and the instinct is just to drop off, that they don't perceive it as food. It's also thick enough that, unlike, say, my linen shirts, the mosquitoes can't just bite through it. Now, the downside is that because it is thicker, it is warmer, and on a hot summer day it can get quite warm. When I'm out spearfishing in the summer, often I'll just be wearing the breech clout because it's too hot to wear even the leggings or the shirt, and once it gets sweaty and saturated, it sticks to you pretty well and can get uncomfortable pretty quickly, I'm afraid to say. So over the years, I have really come to appreciate buckskin clothing. It is a truly amazing material. It's durable, comfortable, faster to produce than weaving, at least in the pre-industrial world, and to my mind is a wonderful way to make complete use of an animal. The clothing that I have shown you here is my own interpretation of what prehistoric peoples could have worn. It is, of course, all based on known examples of clothing from much more recent time periods. Unfortunately, there just are no known clothing examples from the Paleolithic. Since there are no Paleolithic clothing artifacts to replicate directly, I do my best to make clothing that incorporates universal features of known prehistoric and pre-industrial historic clothing in an effort to get as close to what might have been as I possibly can. I hope this look at my buckskins has given you some insight into the type of clothing our ancestors likely would have worn, at least in an environment equivalent to my own. My meager wardrobe is just a scratch on the surface of the potential for variety, style, patterns, and decoration that could have existed in the ancient world, but each new discovery brings us a little closer to getting a real look at that world. Thanks for watching.